If you want to learn something about God, shut your mouth and listen to me for a minute.
Many children healed. We've seen midgets grow. We've seen arms and legs that stop growing because the growth cells have stopped. Mandada basata. I don't make this stuff up.
Behold, the atheist's nightmare.
That's the power of the Holy Ghost!
Why do they teach every other theory in science except creation?
Warlocks are enemies of God.
And no one's ever going to convince me that the Word of God is not true.
You know, if you put Jesus Christ first, that he'll look after all your bills.
And so the devil said, okay, it's a deal.
And if you want to tell me how to live my life, it better line up with the Word of God or shut your mouth.
I'm loaded. I'm pregnant with miracles.
What do you believe?
Send us the cash.
Welcome to the Bible Dumb Podcast. This podcast, two atheists read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I'm your host, Davey Hill.
I'm Josie Hill.
And this is our first episode since the fall. We had to take a week off to mourn our nation.
We're in trouble.
Yeah. The Bible buddies have won.
Yeah, they have.
Temporarily, we hope. Maybe,
this has turned less into us making fun of them and us now hardcore studying.
Yeah. How to pass.
So that we don't get burned at the stake.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've really learned anything how to pass yet. We haven't even gotten to the part they care about. This is all the shit they ignore. But yeah, I thought maybe we could air our grievances a little bit, maybe console each other. It's been a pretty sad week or so. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure the Bible will cheer us up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, so what happened last time? Who knows?
Do not
Anybody?
remember.
Okay, so last time was churlish wall pissers. So, okay, that, all right, so David, he goes down. I think he's still running around from Saul. He meets a guy and says, hey, give me your stuff. And the guy's like, no, go away. And, but his wife, Abigail, is like, hold on a second. And she sneaks up to David with a bunch of stuff, gives him the stuff, and says, I'm sorry, my husband is so churlish. Here's a bunch of our belongings. Don't be mad at us anymore. And David's like, okay, I forgive you. And coincidentally, her husband just drops dead. And she marries David.
That's ringing a bell.
Yeah. So David has a new wife. And then it tacks on, oh yeah, he has a couple other wives too.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got like 3 wives. His first wife is just given off to somebody else. And that's pretty much where we are.
That was Jonathan's sister?
Yes.
I
think so. Saul's daughter, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. And what's happening with Saul? David cut his clothes off.
Oh, yeah.
Sent him away, shamed. So they've kind of made a truce.
I guess you could call it that.
Yeah. I think they're okay. He
Yeah.
said, just let my inheritance continue after your king.
They're like agreeing
Something
to
like that.
disagree, kind of.
Yeah, but he's already said David's going to take over as king when he's done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think that brings us up to speed. The old book of 1 Samuel.
Good enough.
All right. Chapter 26. And the Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon? Then Saul arose, and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. Don't touch the mic. And Saul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon, by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David, therefore, sent out spies, and understood that Saul was come in very deed. Sorry. I just like that phrase a lot. I'm going to have to start using that instead of indeed, which I guess I don't really use indeed very much, but in very deed. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Saul lay. And Abner, the son of Ner, oh yeah, I remember him,
I remember him, yeah.
the captain of his host. And Saul lay in the trench, and the people pitched round about him. Then answered David and said to Ahimelech the Hittite, and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, saying, Who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with thee. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the trench, and his spear stuck in the ground at his bolster. But Abner and the people lay round about him. Then said,
You really need to make some AI with Saul and his spear. He always has it.
That is true. He always has his spear. My favorite, of course, being the one where he's just like throwing it at David,
Yeah.
or like stroking it in anger, just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna stab the crap out of David."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some of the best part. Then said Abishai to David, God hath delivered thine enemy into thine hand this day. Now therefore, let me smite him, I pray thee, with the spear even to the earth at once, and I will not smite him the second time. Like, let me just stab the shit out of him. One time, just one time. It won't even take me 2 times. And David said to Abishai, Destroy him not, for who can stretch forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? David said furthermore, As the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I should stretch forth mine hand against the Lord's anointed. But I pray thee, take thou now the spear that is set at his bolster, and the cruse of water, and let us go. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's bolster, and they gat them away, and no man saw it, nor knew it, neither awakened, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord was fallen upon them. Then David went over the other side, and stood on the top of the hill afar off, a great space being between them. And David cried to the people, and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, Answerest thou not, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, Who art thou that criest to the king? And David said to Abner, Art not thou a valiant man? And who is like to thee in Israel? Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy lord the king? For there came one of the people in to destroy the king thy lord. This thing is not good that thou hast done. And the Lord liveth, ye are worthy to die, because ye have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the cruse of water that was at his bolster. And Saul knew David's voice. Of course he did. He sounds like a dead-end boy. And said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And David said, It is my voice, O Lord, O king. And he said, Wherefore doth my lord thus pursue after his servant? For what have I done? Or what evil is in mine hand? Now therefore, I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord have stirred thee up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Lord, for they have driven me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. Now therefore let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord. For the king of Israel is come out to seek a flea, as when one doth hunt a partridge in the mountains. What?
I don't know.
I don't even really know who's talking. Like, one thing that the Bible is missing is quotation marks. Those would be helpful. I think that was Abner. And he's like, why is Saul out here chasing David? Anyway. Then Saul said, I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do thee harm. because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day, behold, I have played the fool, and have erred exceedingly. And David answered and said, Behold the king's spear, and let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord render to every man his righteousness. The Lord render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord delivered thee into my hand today, but I would not stretch forth mine hand against the Lord's anointed. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in mine eyes, so let my life be much set by in thy eyes of the Lord, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. Then Saul said to David, Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do great things, and also shalt still prevail. So David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place. All right, so we're getting a pattern here. This is the second time where David could have killed Saul, but didn't.
Yeah.
So I think we're just like setting up a pattern that will either be broken or, I don't know. You think David's going to kill Saul? Like the third time? Because maybe like Saul, like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Something's going to happen where Saul either like goes too far and David actually has to kill him, or he's going to do something stupid like try to attack David back and die on his own.
Yeah.
Proving David to be more righteous. I don't know. Chapter 27. And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. And Saul shall despair of me, to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hand. And David arose, and he passed over with the 600 men that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maoch, king of Gath. And David dwelt with Achish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, even David with his 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the Carmelitess, Nabal's wife. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again for him. And David said unto Achish, If I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the royal city with thee? Then Achish gave him Ziklag that day, wherefore Ziklag pertaineth unto the kings of Judah unto this day. And the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months. And David and his men went up, and invaded Geshurites, and the Gezrites, and the Amalekites, for those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land, as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt. And David smote the land, and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep, and the oxen, and the asses, and the camels, and the apparel, and returned, and came to Achish. And Achish said, Whither have ye made a road today? And David said, Against the south of Judah, and against the south of Jerahmeelites, and against the south of Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive, to bring tidings to Gath, saying, Lest they should tell on us, saying, So did David, and so will all his manner, all the while he dwelleth in the country of the Philistines. And Achish believed David, saying, He hath made his people Israel utterly abhor him. Therefore he shall be my servant forever. So
That's rough.
David did some casual pillaging.
Yeah.
Killed a bunch of people so they wouldn't tell stories about him. Meanwhile, his roommate's like, God damn it, David.
Jesus.
You're going to have to stay here and be my servant. Stop getting me in trouble. That's what I got out of that.
Yeah.
And I guess David just, he's on the run again because he still doesn't think Saul is going to let him live after 2 close attempted murders.
He's taking the hint.
Yeah.
He's reading the room.
But Saul did not chase after him.
No, Saul's just like, thank God he's gone.
Yeah, just stay the fuck away. Which What do you think about David so far?
He's really all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, do we like him?
That's what I can't tell. Like, I feel like he's done a few good things, right?
I mean, he killed Goliath. That was cool. I liked him at first when he was like this underdog.
Yeah.
And I guess he still is. He's still like running from Saul all the time. And like when he has the chance to kill Saul, he stays his hand and shows mercy, which is kind of cool.
But you can't go around killing whole villages.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. So I'm going no. No, I don't like him.
We're turning against David?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't forgive that.
Chapter 28. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare, to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. And David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore I will make thee keeper of mine, head forever. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Okay, real quick, before we go on, is David going to fight on the Philistines' side? Isn't he living with Achish in the land of the Philistines? Or is Achish like another Israelite buddy that just happens to live in?
Yeah, I think that's the situation.
Okay. All right, so David is going to lead Achish's people in this fight?
Yeah, and just
Okay.
finally, for good, kick out all the native people.
Don't go there. Achish. I mean, the Philistines, they've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, we've been fighting the Philistines since Judges, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And the Philistines gathered themselves together, and came and pitched at Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched at Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her, and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself, and put on other raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. Whoa! She's going to let him talk to the dead.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, this is cool. I don't know, for some reason this is reminding me of like Wizard of Oz. When they talk to the crystal ball guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's the vibes I'm getting. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground, and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me. And God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, ooh, you look like riveted. You look
Yeah,
like
this
on
is
the edge
pretty
of your
good.
seat. Then said Samuel,
Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed?
Leave it in.
The Lord is departed from me, and is become thine enemy. And the Lord hath done to him as he spake to me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David, because thou obeyedst not the voice of the Lord, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing to thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines.
Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. Gotta get your carbs in.
Eat that bread.
All right, so new theory for 2nd Samuel coming up.
It's gonna be
It's
dead
Zombie
Samuel.
Samuel. This
Yay.
is awesome. I had no idea that this is what was happening. This is so cool. I'm sorry my zombie voice destroyed my throat. I don't know what happened. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. But he refused, and said, I will not eat. But his servants together with the woman compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. And he arose from the earth, and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hastened, and killed it, and took flour, and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul, and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up, and went away that night.
I hate when people are dramatic like that. Like, no, I won't eat. I won't eat. They gotta be convinced. And then how long is he?
I couldn't possibly eat right now. I'm too distraught.
And then how long is he staying that she's doing all this?
Well, he hasn't eaten any bread in 2 days,
She's just making him fresh bread.
I guess.
It's a long process.
It's unleavened. She didn't leaven it. She just made tortillas. You can make tortillas really fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's happening with the zombie? How come the zombie's no longer in the story?
Well, she was just doing a seance, and
Oh, okay.
so they talked to him, and now he's done.
So she was speaking as Zombie Samuel?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. She's possessed.
Okay, and then David. Is David fighting for Israel, or is he fighting for the Philistines?
It hasn't really said yet. It's just his buddy that he was living with told him that he was going to lead his household.
Okay. We'll see.
I don't
Are they
know.
going to battle it out?
I don't think David would fight for the Philistines. I think he's on the Israeli side for sure.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But
We'll find out. We're going to finish. Let's just go to the end. We're about to finish Samuel number 1.
oh yeah, let's do it.
Chapter 30. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the 3rd day that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag had smitten Ziklag. What? Okay, well, the Amalekites invaded Ziklag, and they had smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire, and had taken the women captives that were within. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away, and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's 2 wives were taken captives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God.
David did not care at all that his wives were taken into custody. He only cared that he was going to get stoned.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think these are David's beard wives.
Yeah.
And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him,
Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all.
Are we surprised? Do we really think God's going to say, no, we want peace. Do not pursue. Do not battle.
Not this God. There we go. So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights.
It's dumb.
It's
a dumb thing to do.
Wouldn't you be dead if you hadn't had any water in 3 days and 3 nights? Isn't that like the absolute limit you could go?
Yeah, for sure.
I guess he was just on the brink of death. And so they gave him 1 piece of cake and 2 clusters of raisins, and now he's all good. Like how it lists like exactly what foods he ate. It's like oddly specific when other parts are not. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou? And whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said unto him, Canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, Swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me, nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking, and dancing because of all the great spoil they had taken out of the land of the Philistines, and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them from the twilight even until the evening of the next day, and there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled. And he's...
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
And there escaped not a man except 400. That's a stupid way to word that.
Yeah.
And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great.
So is this fake? Did he do this on purpose?
Do what?
To try to get in there and kill everybody and then save his people? Was this a ploy?
I don't think so. I think they came in, they kidnapped all the women, and then David and his 400 warriors rode down, and there must have been a lot of them if, only 400 of the enemy rode away because they had camels.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Just some battle skirmishes. All right. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drove before those other cattle, and said, This is David's spoil. And David came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook of Besor. And they went forth to meet David, and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial, of those that went with David, and said, Because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart. Then David said, Ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hand. For who hath hearkened unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff, and shall part alike. And it was so from that day forward that he made a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. All right, so even those that tarry and guard the camp, they get equal spoils as those that go to battle.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of fair, I guess. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent the spoil unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, Behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. To them which were in Bethel, and to them which were in South Ramoth, and to them which were in Jatir, and to them which were in Aroer, and to them which were in Siphmoth, and to them which were in Eshtemoa, and to them which were in Rachel. I'm not done. And to them which were in the cities of Jerahmeelites, and to them which were in the cities of the Kenites, and to them which were in Hormah, and to them which were in Chorashon, and to them which were in Athach, and to them which were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were wont to haunt. All right.
Is that David talking?
I thought so.
Just third personing at the end there.
Yeah. Chapter 31. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons, and the Philistines slew Jonathan.
Oh no!
Oh no!
This is
David's
bad.
gonna be pissed. And Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul unto his armor-bearer, Draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and abuse me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword, and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword, and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor-bearer, and all his men, all that same day together. Whoa. Pretty intense.
Yeah.
And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities, and fled. And the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head, and stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about, to publish it in the house of their idols, and among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and came to Jabesh and burnt them there. And they took their bones and buried them under a tree at Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. All right, so we end the first book of Samuel in a pretty bad spot. We got a cliffhanger here.
Yeah.
Saul's dead. Jonathan's dead. I mean, Saul killed himself. Well, I mean, you can't really blame him. He was shot through with arrows.
He was gonna die.
Yeah. So, but the Israelites seem pissed. They did not like that they put Saul up on the wall.
Oh no. That would make anybody mad.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of my favorite parts of the Iliad. Spoilers for those who haven't read the Iliad. When they finally kill Hector, they attach him to a chariot and have him dragged around the city like several days, and so the king and queen of Troy are like super sad.
I remember that.
Yeah. All right. Well, cliffhanger time. This is a pretty cool chapter. We got a zombie. We got some warfare. Got us all set up for 2 Samuel.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like David's going to be in charge, and maybe Zombie Samuel will help lead him to make good decisions.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, is if you thought David was going to talk to Zombie Samuel some more.
Oh, for sure.
We haven't heard the last of Zombie Samuel.
No.
Very cool. All right. Well, till next time, everybody. Stay dumb.
Stay dumb.